Ryan Tate was on the PBD podcast yet again. It's his first time on after jail, one of his big appearances. Since being released from jail, we have several clips, so everyone stay tuned. This is going to be a longer episode, so hang in there. A lot of Tate, a lot of PBD, a lot of us. Let's hop right into this thing. Everyone like, subscribe, comment, share, do all the things, because we gotta grow. We gotta fight, as you'll see from Tate. As the things we know, he'll reiterate some of the things that we already know to be true. But I like this clip, this first clip I want to pull. It's just a simple question, and it's basically asking Tate how he just persevered through everything he's been through.
That's all it takes for us to do the most stupid things there is. The idea of feeling like a coward. A man will run into a burning building to not be a coward. If the firefighter, they go, there's children in there, and the whole building's on fire. It's like, well, I can't be a coward. Oh, fuck it. And you'll risk your life. It's something that's built inside of us, honor and pride. It's something that should be. It's what they're trying to take away from us. But it's what used to be built inside of men. And I just feel like I can't give up. I know what I'm doing is good. I know what I'm teaching is good. I know that people don't like it, but I know I'm not teaching anything that's bad. And yeah, I want my children to be happy, but I have daughters too. And how do you make sure that your daughters are secure and have a good future? Well, I think you do that by building good men. How else do you do it? My daughter is mine now, but she won't be mine forever. She's going to marry somebody. I like the idea of her marrying a good man with honor and principle, a man like me. I don't want to marry some idiot. So they call me a misogynist and I'm anti-woman. I'm pro-woman. The best way you can improve the lives of women is make men, better at being men. Because when a man is a good man, he's good for all of society, including women. He's good for everyone around him when he's good at being a man. So I feel like I'm helping them as well by extension. And it's difficult. And yeah, I can't say with honesty that I strongly considered giving up. It never crossed my mind.
Isn't this great? Because I told that story the one time about when I ran into a guy and I told him I gave up on everything and fuck everything. He's like, why are you so black-pilled? And then here's Tate, man, that has everything to lose, has every opportunity to run away into the sunset. He's young, handsome, jacked, rich. He says it himself, right? What color's your Bugatti? And here I am giving up. When I got everything to fight for. This guy doesn't need to fight. He doesn't. It's incredible.
Yeah, he really doesn't need to, and he'll get into that in some of the other. Actually, I think maybe even the next clip that we play. But he doesn't really have to do this, as he said in the interview, and I think we all know is true. He could have just disappeared when they tried to censor him. He could have just disappeared and been fine. If he's truly as rich as he says he is, which I don't have any doubt that he's at least extraordinarily wealthy. I mean, whether he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars or $1 billion, wherever the hell he thinks he's worth, probably not. But he's still clearly wealthy enough where he could just fade away and be fine for the rest of his life.
Yeah, well, what's the thing you always hear about? Like, if you just live off your investments. So if you're 100+ millionaire, what kind of investments can you get with that?
I'm sure you could get enough steady income off of it for sure.
So,
but yeah, I think that's prime Tate right there. And that really set the interview up nicely, I think. That was fairly early on into the interview.
It's amazing, too, that he said it before. And, I've come on these podcasts and I told you guys that this kind of self-improvement and mind state and stuff has saved my life literally. It changed my life literally. Like some of these people, not that I needed like a dad or a big brother, but I don't have, especially on this Father's Day, I don't necessarily have the best people to always look up to in my whole life. So when you come across people that actually talk about principles, morals, dignity, self-sacrifice for the greater good of your family and your daughter, he referencing daughters. I have a daughter. Like, it's not just highly relatable. It should be highly relatable for everybody. It should be transplanted on everybody. This idea that we have weak men around.
Ryan, this next one is I think you'll enjoy this. This is a nice historical simile, I suppose, to what he was facing, and it's I just like the commentary. It was a little interaction with him and his brother, and just Tate's mindset really is it's interesting.
Do you think the idea of trying to either silence you or make you irrelevant is working? Meaning, do you think you're more relevant today than you were on September 1st? Is that strategy they're implementing working?
No, they're failing.
Why are you talking for 5 hours?
I'm in a position where I'm spearheading, by God's plan, the rights of basically every man on earth. They could do this to anybody. So I think any man with a brain who's thinking is looking at my position and going, they could hit me or my friends or my son or my dad the same way they're hitting this guy. after I beat the BBC, after I destroyed the BBC, Tristan gave me a high five. He's like, oh, you wrecked them. They're going to look so stupid. I said, bro, we've sunk the HMS Hood. HMS Hood in World War II, HMS Hood was the British battleship. It was the flagship of the Royal Navy. And the Royal Navy was obviously renowned. It has been for hundreds of years. It was the best battleship. And it was up against German battlecruiser, the Bismarck. And the Hood should have outgunned the Bismarck. And it was the best German ship against the best British ship. By absolute fluke, the Bismarck, on its first volley or second volley, landed a shell perfectly through the top of the Hood and blew up the ammo magazine. And like in the first shot, within minutes, destroyed the entire HMS Hood. Killed like, I think it was like 3,000 people, 2 survivors. You can find the video on YouTube, the Hood blow into pieces. When Churchill found out the Hood was sunk, he said, sink the Bismarck, don't care what it costs. He sent every ship, every plane, every sub diverted from every other mission. Doesn't care if we lose every plane we have, don't care if we lose the RAF. We cannot lose the Hood without him losing the Bismarck. Sink the Bismarck. When the Bismarck sunk the Hood, all of the crew were celebrating, except the captain. The captain updated his will. He updated his will and telegraphed home to his wife and said goodbye, because he knew. So I don't know, I'm in a very precarious scenario. Do I continue to win? Do I let them win a bit? Do I just roll over and shut up? What am I supposed to do? I don't know what the right move is. It's difficult.
You sincerely don't know what the right move is.
I sincerely have decided that the best thing I can do is stay true to my faith and stay true to God and tell the truth and fight. The right move for me, I believe, is to fight and fight to the end, because I think that suicide is always the wrong option. I believe if you're put in a bad position, the best thing you should possibly do is fight to the best of your ability, which is what I'm going to do. However, if I was looking at it purely logically without any kind of ideological motivations, perhaps if I would have shut up when they wanted me to, I wouldn't be in this scenario. But that's just not who I am.
I relate heavily to that last part.
sometimes Ryan, there you know that there's a time where words are not called for, and yet you just can't help yourself.
It's something calls us. He said it, not me. He just happens to be the billionaire, so people listen to him. But we're not different people. Him and I are not different people at the end of the fucking day. That's what's so empowering. Like, you can do this to anybody. They'll do it to the rich. They'll do it to the poor. They actually need less evidence to indict me on something, or you, David, or these judges or these other things,
Well, we know they certainly, it certainly seems like they're trying.
The historical reference was incredible. And it's also amazing that just the simple symbolism in there.
It truly was a perfect reference. And it was something I learned from the interview, which I do like learning new things. I obviously don't know. I know that was, World War II, but I don't know British history very well. I know that's world history as well, but I did tend to focus on American history, tend to be more my speed, the thing I like more. But that was interesting. And I to comment on history, that's a pretty badass move from Churchill. Fuck him, take him out. I don't give a shit.
We can lose what
you have to do.
We'll start over. I just had this conversation earlier with somebody about like just what our grandparents were like and what they left us, and that's the type of people they were. All costs, no holds bar, burn them to the ground, salt the earth. And you're seeing it play out now differently, obviously, David. It's a different war environment. Some would say an information war, David. I don't know who invented such words.
Some people would say such a thing.
People familiar with the matter.
Ryan, this next clip I love. This is Andrew Tate talking about things that we've talked about since the get-go, which is globalism. And he just crushes it in a way that you would expect him to.
I think faith, family, kids, values, principles, they fear the hell out of it.
Absolutely.
And I think that community is rising up.
No, you're totally right. But you made a really interesting point there about empires falling. And this is where I kind of feel like we're entering a new stage of the world, because it's never really done before. Because typically when empires fell, the world was far more polarized. If the empire fell, there was nowhere for the corrupt dictators of said empire to go. The empire's fallen. Let's say England fell. It's very hard to get exile in France. You could do it a little bit. But let's say America fell today. Let's say it completely collapsed and it fell. The people who archetyped that downfall, do you think they'd be in America? Do you think they'd be sitting there waiting to get scooped up? Do you even know who they are? Can you recognize them? What's their name? Even if you could, do you think they're in America, or do you think they're skiing in Switzerland? This globalism, the whole point of globalism is that they don't care when empires fall. When you globalize the world, then you have a chessboard. I lost the knight. Doesn't matter. Put the picture. Sack the queen. Who cares? And there's so many things I want to say, but I don't want to die. But there's truth. This can be proven and shown even with this current proxy war. Do the people in charge of the world care if America's crime rate goes up 1,000%? Would they lose sleep at
I
night?
actually think they do partially, because think about it. So I'm with Andrew Schultz, and I'm taking your position with him.
Yep.
Okay, you know who Andrew Schultz
Yep.
is? Good guy. And he says, part of me that gives me comfort is knowing these guys are so obsessed with their money. He may be wrong. We can debate this.
Yep.
They're so obsessed with their money that there's no way they're going to let America fall, because if America falls, everything else falls. So they're going to go just as much as they can to control, but not enough to get the machine to break, because they're so in love with money and power, they don't want to give that up.
Well, I hope that's true. I would love for that to be true. But my argument is that these people are already so deeply entrenched, they print the money. They'll print the new money. They don't care. If they cared about money, COVID wouldn't have happened. They closed the entire economy. I don't think they care about money. I think they control the world to a level where you want to eat? You want water? Like, I don't think they give a shit about money. They'll print the new money. They'll change the name of it and print the new one. At a certain level of power, I think they're so above and beyond all of our concepts of how the world works that they don't have any interest in any of it. I don't think they give a shit. I think if you were to go to these people, whoever they are, and say, we're going to take your money away, they would just laugh at you. You think you can take my money? You think you understand money? You think you're going to damage the stock market? You think I give a shit about the share price? I think there's a level beyond all of this. And they're the ones who truly are running things, and they truly have no influence. And in fact, the harder they damage the economy and the more damage they do to money, the more people are dependent on governments to eat. That's where communism comes from, right? The more poor we get, the more you need the government just so you have food in your mouth. How can you resist the government if they feed you? You can't.
Wasn't there a superpower leader somewhere in the world, David, that said something about globalism being inevitable?
Yeah, but he's of a small third world country. I think China.
People's
Xi Jinping.
Republic.
Yeah, he was democratically elected, right?
Yeah, tell me you believe in the New World Order without saying the New World Order, David. Also, I thought it was funny. I'm now expert in body language, but I'm a novice, I guess. And did you see Patrick Bet David's response to that and the way he and his buddy there were responding?
No, what did you catch?
You think Tate's making this up? Serious question. Serious question.
Absolutely not.
Look, right, because I'm the conspiracy theorist bare minimum, right? I already believed all this, right, David? So when it's coming from a guy of his caliber, right? He says he's worth how much? $1 billion?
I don't know. The number changes every time somebody asks him.
Let's say it's $100 million. If Patrick Bet David's worth $100 million, this guy's at least worth what Patrick Bet David's worth. Okay. So he's worth multi-hundred. He knows the billionaires. He's met billionaires, I'm sure. Like this, he's not making this state. This isn't like Andrew Tate's not on YouTube conspiracy theory web pages. Do you know what I mean? Like this guy may directly bribe politicians for all we know, or can campaign finance contributions, or all these various things, or hush money, whatever it is. I mean, he ran, let's be honest, the sex rings or whatever we're trying to call them, webcam agencies. I'm sure he had escorts.
Well, it depends who you ask. He would tell you they were webcam companies.
I'm sure.
Basically, OnlyFans before OnlyFans. And Romania will tell you he's sex trafficking. I'm
sure he was running some kind of light escort service that you could just call like female companion, right? And then we have girls that you go on dates with, and then whatever happens is your body, your choice, right? But like, I just locally in the Buffalo News just last week, I seen a news article that talked about some dude. It was one of the strip clubs locally, said that the judge of the case was one of his prostitute's clients.
Well, that sounds like a conflict of interest.
If that's happening in Buffalo, Buffalo has like 250,000 people in it. Like, what is this? Is the whole?
Just remember, though, there was only one Epstein Island.
Oh, I'm sure there had no fortresses out there, big castled fucking sanctums in the middle of the desert that Google Earth doesn't. Oh, it's not on Google Earth. It can't be real, David. But yeah, back to Tate here. Like, seriously, like Patrick Bet David and his friend there, man, like we're really like, holy fuck, what, like, this isn't a joke.
No.
This is not like how many people are you messing with? You're messing with the control of the whole world with one guy right now. And it's also cool listening to Tate just talk how he slowly and quickly just everything's back to chess. Sack the queen, got the bit, like just these very simple things.
Mhm.
And then you almost realize why he thinks like that. But then you realize that the bishop moves diagonally, right? It cuts across the field, like just all he's so fucking clever. And you think this guy's making it up. I've said this stuff for how long, David? This isn't about me. I was told I'm crazy and all this other stuff. And now we got a Deca 100 millionaire sitting in a room with this guy interviewing him for 5 hours, picking his brain. And he's saying there's a fucking new world order.
I think the he's got some really good insight on some stuff. He really does. The idea of that's why globalism existed is something I didn't personally think of. But there's a lot of truth to it. I mean, if you have one world superpower, but there's other powers kind of coming for you. Example, the British Empire that was basically taken down by us. Let's be honest. Then we became the superpower. Well, who's next in line? Well, maybe there is no next in line. I just think that's an interesting take on it.
Yeah, why would you need a next in line? When you have we're global, Dave. We talked about the global tax a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I told somebody that, and they
right
said I was making it up, David. I've been told
in Biden's plan.
I know. That's what I told them.
It's on his website.
They just don't care. They just don't. This like if the average citizen don't care, this guy Tate. It's coming from this guy. He's not making this shit up. This guy's not following conspiracy YouTube channels, people.
No. Another thing I'd never even thought of, but this is brilliant as well. There's a reason. There's a reason people watch Tate. I mean, let's just be honest.
He's just a misogynist, David.
Yeah. Here's his thoughts on the LGBT movement.
I have nothing against gay people. I don't care. And that's actually another point I want to make into about this thing. I think most people don't care, and I think that bothers them. Have you ever had an argument with a girl?
It's amazing.
And she's like stropping around the house. She's huffing and puffing, and you just don't give a shit. So she has to keep upping the ante till you eventually go, what's the problem? Because she tried the low-level stuff, and you didn't care. I kind of feel like this has a remnants of that. I'm gay. Cool. I want to get married. Fine. I want to wave my dick in your kid's face. Whoa, 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 whoa. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. I feel like they tried to annoy us, and we're like, we don't give a shit. Do whatever you want. Be a person. We don't care.
Point.
And now they're like, okay, well, we have to get to a limit where they have to react. Yeah. We want attention now. We want them to care about
What's
this.
the right move on that?
Well, that's the point. It's difficult because there comes a point where you simply have to address it, and now you have to oppose it. And this is sorry to interrupt you, but this is why they're so careful and so clever with what they do. They package it all together. LGBTQ. I would argue. I don't know what Q is. Firstly, sorry, I don't know what Q is.
Questioning.
Q. All right. I would argue that G and T are very different things.
Beyond.
A gay man and someone who's chopped their dick off are very different things. Completely. So they package it all together. So now, because the spectrum of your enemy is so large, you have people who are fully this way. Mm-hmm. You have people who we accept and are normal in society. We have no problem with gay people. And they put it all together. You're an enemy of all these people. And they complicate the argument and they mix it all together. And now you're a bigot.
They communized sexuality.
Yeah, they sure did. And his argument makes sense.
Who's the North Korean defect? The female Noah, Nombi or whatever. She was all over the place. She had to sell her mom to get into South Korea.
Oh yeah, I
Yona Park or something.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of the name either. She
talked about when she first came to the States and she went to universities when they were talking about like all the racism and stuff. And she said it's exactly what North Korea did with people instead of skin color. And why would it be any different for sexuality?
No, why would it? And it's not like, again, it's not like these people aren't talking to each other, right? The people who are trying to control the world, the higher, they're running off the same game plans. I mean, let's be honest. They got the same scripts. Now, maybe...
I'm sure it's just coincidence, David.
Yeah. No. Yeah, maybe.
They actually kind of talk about that in this interview. I don't know if you clipped it, but they reference, I think it's not EPA, but something about like the equity board panels or something. And they look at every company, the biggest companies, corporation, make sure that they have equal diversification and they've got so many people of color and trans. And
I did not, because I think we've talked about that. We've bumped into it. I think when we did the Target episode, we talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, Tate actually references that. Did you also get the clip about art?
Kind of. I think I know what you're talking about. I have one about the buildings that we'll get to, because I thought that was interesting because we've specifically talked about it. You specifically talked about that on our show. But I love this next clip.
Just piggybacks. Everything he says just piggybacks. He's like Legoing.
What he is he's like an all-time great comedian. You know how they can reference they can reference back to like a joke that they set up like an hour ago. It's like, holy shit, how did you like? That's just what all-time great comedians can do.
He's so engaging and charismatic, and like, you know, it's just really incredible to watch. David, you are right. He is like a comedian. He's an entertainer for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I almost wonder what he's like behind the scenes, because I'm sure he's not quite the same. Like, everybody has their own like on screen, and it's not always like completely different, but it's probably a little different. I almost feel like I wonder what somewhat chill off camera Tate is like.
Everybody said he's friendly. That's all I've ever heard. Friendly or a rapist. I mean,
yeah, it's one of the two. I mean, he either gives you a high five or he chokes you to death. I love this next clip because, again, this is a thing I've never heard of before, but he's talking about he's relating it to society, but the monkey experiment, Ryan. The monkey experiment. I didn't know this was a thing, but this is amazing.
You're a woman?
Are you misgendering me?
I have to choose to agree with you, right?
My pronouns are she, her. No, but the level of, it's all a joke, right? But there's actually a very sinister undertone to all of this garbage. And the sinister undertone is that your baseline instincts and your baseline senses are how you've always perceived the world, right? They have to attack them at some level. And they did. I mean, it's fantastic with COVID. COVID, I know we can talk about it now, it was amazing. I used to say to people all the time, who have you seen die? Do you see a pandemic? Yeah, on the news. No. Do you see ambulances rushing back and forth everywhere? Do you see bodies on the street? Do you see lines outside of hospitals? Do you see a pandemic? How a pandemic would look? Do you see a pandemic? Oh, but my friend's grandma, your friend's grandma was 96. Okay, so I'm not saying it's not sad. I'm saying she was 96. Do you see a pandemic? No, you don't. But they have just lied to you so many times that you're ignoring your own eyes. That's the final stage of the slave mind. Have you ever seen the experiment? There's a really interesting experiment with monkeys and a banana and a water spout. Have you ever seen this? They put 5 monkeys in a room. And at the top of the room there was a banana. And when one monkey tried to climb up to get the banana, they turn on the hose and splash all the monkeys with ice cold water. So the monkey would come back down and wouldn't get the banana. And when another monkey would go to climb up, they'd splash all the monkeys with ice cold water. And what would happen over time is, when a monkey went to climb the rope to get the banana, the other monkeys would jump and pull him down and hit him and teach him a lesson. Don't go for that banana. If you go for that banana, we get splashed with water. Then they'd swap one of the monkeys out. Now there's a new monkey in the room who doesn't know the game. The new monkey would attempt to climb, and all 4 monkeys would attack the monkey, pull him back down and kick his ass. He knows if he climbs the rope to get the banana, he gets attacked. He doesn't know he gets splashed with water if he gets the banana. He doesn't know the game, but he knows if I try and climb, they're gonna attack me. After a certain amount of weeks, they change another monkey, and another monkey, and another monkey. Over time, you have 5 brand new monkeys who have never been splashed with water ever. But nobody goes to climb the rope, because if they do, they're attacked by all the other monkeys. And nobody even knows why.
Damn.
That's just how it works. If you climb that rope, we beat you up. That's just how it works.
What a fucking wild look into, like, I know it was monkeys, but monkeys and humans obviously very similar in certain ways. What a wild look into the way the brain works.
Yeah, it's almost like COVID was a biological game of telephone. In that
it almost seems that way, yeah.
Like that, John Lennon and other people have said a lie makes it halfway around the world before the truth puts its shoes on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I can talk about the election now after it's long past. I wonder when I'll be able to speak freely about Android 19.
I don't know if we can or can't. I mean, we can on Rumble. So obviously, like us, follow us, comment along on Rumble. Do it on YouTube too, but just be ready for when YouTube isn't there, then we're on Rumble. It is, it's fine. It is what it is. I don't care which place we're at. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me. We could be on one place. I don't care if we're on one place, 1,000 places.
It's amazing. It's simply amazing. Yeah, the human psychology and the monkey thing. We've all known this stuff for years and years.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
but
David.
Obviously, those in charge also know this, and that's why they do certain things the way that they do them.
It's impossible, David. There's no way. They don't know anything. They're dumb. Rich people are dumb. It's all accident, coincidence. Surely. It's not planned, David. Can't be planned. Put your mask on, David.
We'll talk about masks tomorrow. I do love the next clip as well because you've talked about this. And this is Tate talking about beauty, but beautiful buildings more specifically. I know you've mentioned this because Buffalo, for those who haven't been to Buffalo, if you go downtown and check out some of the old architecture, it is incredible. It really is.
It don't make sense.
And you mentioned on the show, like, how come, I think we talked about this, but how come new buildings aren't nice anymore? They're like, they could make them nice, they just don't. And it was funny to see him say the same thing, 2-3 months later. I don't remember last time we talked about this, but
yeah, he got my thought in jail. It was like, when I get out, I'm going to talk about what Ryan was talking about.
Ryan was sending him mail.
I was.
We were driving, and I said, even on the most base level, I said, every building is ugly. Have you noticed that every new building is ugly? It's ugly. Just goes, yeah, it's all the same glass, big square, ugly building. In the 1400s, we built these ornate, gorgeous buildings. And now everything's ugly. Why is that? And well, I'll tell you why it is. It's because they don't want you to have any intrinsic attachment to a specific place. If all the buildings are beautiful in a specific town, you have intrinsic attachment to that town. You care about that town. You want good things for that town. You'll protect that town. You'll defend that town. What is that? That's a barrier. That's a parameter. If everything looks the same all the time, you'll just move. Who cares? Oh, they've messed up San Fran. Who cares? I'll just move somewhere else. Let's move somewhere else. It's all the same. Globalism doesn't matter. It's all the same. Buildings in Berlin and New York, they all look the same. Where's all the beauty gone? When there's beauty, you have an attachment to that beauty. They want to remove all your attachments from everything. Even now, when they try and psyop you into, let's say, the way that models all look different than they used to before, right? Models all look different.
Victoria's Secret.
Yeah, and I was arguing this point, and someone's saying, oh, but that's because you have Eurocentric beauty standards. I said, no. I'm going to correct you, because I know you think you sound smart using the word Eurocentric, and I'm going to correct you because you're a dumbass. Let me tell you what beauty standards are. Beauty standards, by definition, for something to be beautiful, has to at least be unique. If everything is beautiful, then it's not beautiful. If everything's beautiful, then it's standardized. For you to take a model who looks the way they look without any effort at all, and they look like most out of shape, uninteresting people on the street, you cannot call that beautiful because it's standardized, you can see it everywhere. Beauty means it must have been difficult to obtain. Whether it's a building, it's difficult to make because it's ornate, or a woman who's trained really hard to have a beautiful figure, that is difficult. Difficulty and beauty are linked. You can't have beauty without difficulty. You cannot show me another model and tell me that my Eurocentric beauty standards are saying she isn't hot, because that's not why. She isn't hot because she's made no effort. She hasn't tried. That's why. And they're doing this with everything. Everything is ugly. Nothing has a standard. Nobody has to try for anything. No parameter. No baseline belief of what's true and what's false. Everything's subjective. Your truth. No, there's the truth. There's no such thing as your truth. And this is an attack on every single level. They're assaulting us from everywhere. Even the buildings they build are assaulting you. So you can't even just drive through a town and go, wow, look how much energy has been put into this place. I love this place. I will not allow them to do it to this place. Now it's just like, we can move there. Let's move there. It's all the same anyway. It's all a Starbucks on the corner and a 7-Eleven. Who cares? It's all the same. Why fight? Why fight for any of it?
David, the only question I have after all this interview, do you think they kill him?
He thinks they kill him. He said it long before any of this even happened, even before censorship happened. His 3 steps were, they try to censor you, they try to put you in jail, and then they kill you. If step 1 fails, they go to step 2. If step 2 fails, then that's it. You're hanging from a bedsheet on a bunk bed. Yeah. It almost makes me wonder, and I don't want to paint Epstein in a good light by any means. Obviously, what he did was fucking disgusting.
Don't you dare, David.
What did he know?
Don't you dare, David.
I want to know what he knew.
Don't you dare. I thought you were to say he was a good guy holding out for good guys.
No. But I want to know what he knew, because there's a reason they killed him, and it wasn't because he was touching kids, because they all touch kids too.
Yeah, you think after a certain level, it's known already.
He knew.
So it's so crazy. Once again, Tate is this very highly financially successful man talking like Alex Jones.
Yeah.
How many of
And Alex
them?
Jones was financially successful until they
$1 trillion
robbed him of his wealth
Trillion.
for wrong thing.
$1 trillion.
Fucking make him pay the national debt at that point. What difference does it make?
Alex,
You're never going to see the money.
You really got to stop producing content. I have to make content to make money to pay off the money.
I got one more Tate clip here, Ryan, and then we can give final thoughts on the whole interview and Tate, and we know what's going to happen next. But this is Tate talking about AI, and I like this clip because it's a really good point. Yet again, I know I feel like I'm saying the same thing, but it does seem like he makes a lot of good points.
Well, they don't try to silence the dumb people, David.
But what he's saying is, yeah, basically AI, people, whatever, there's going to be some coexistence. It is what it is. But the average person is going to be just annihilated by AI. There will always be the Tates of the world. They're going to exist. But your average person is going to get put to the side by AI.
In a fucking meat grinder.
I think if you're an exceptional person, a truly exceptional person, you don't have to be afraid of nearly anything. But you'll probably agree with this. In my experience, in nearly every business in the world, you have 10% killers, and then you have a bunch who want the paycheck. They do their job, but I wouldn't say they're killers. I tell them now, I have some guys who work for me on one particular company and their sales staff. I was reading through the sales scripts. The killers doing really well, but the average guys have said, you're not doing much better than ChatGPT could do right now. I want to warn you that you're not doing much better than I could replace you with a machine today, let alone in 5 years from now, for free. You need to be careful. So I think it's just becoming more and more competitive. The idea that you can just be Joe Schmo, do your job, turn up, I don't try that hard, it's fine. I think that's all going to go out the window because as the world becomes more competitive, as a company, you have to compete with your competitors. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is just where do you cut the fat? When I see AI popping up and getting more and more intelligent in the way it's talking, that doesn't scare me. But I have a way with words. If I was Joe Schmo, I'd be afraid. This chat GPT can probably text your girl better than you can. He'll probably get laid faster
It's
than
a
you
little
will.
advice for the guys out there right now. Just
plug it into your phone.
ChatGPT that
It'll do
thing.
better than you do. You need to find more and more ways to stand out and be unique. And the only way to really do those things, unfortunately, as a man, is to suffer. And that's one of the reasons I'm kind of glad that God put me in jail. Because if you look at anything that builds a man into a man, there's a degree of suffering. It's very hard to become a man and have a man who's respected and has stories and is capable when he only had a nice life and nice experiences. It's usually the things that made you the best version of you are usually the worst things that happened to you. So the demons I carry from jail, the fact that I can't sleep. The fact that I can't sleep, I've had girls say to me, you can't sleep, you need to see a psychiatrist. And I said, absolutely not. I would be furious if a psychiatrist walked in here and took my demons from me. I don't care if they could fix me with a click, they're mine. And they were bestowed to me by God. And they are mine to deal with and they are mine to fix because that's how I become a better version of me. I would be furious if someone took them away from me.
I love that perspective because I've always believed that also.
What, that the worst things that happen to you are make you the best version of yourself? They're like
absolutely.
superpowers.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really a shame, actually, me personally, not to get too like that, but I wish I knew that sooner. But then again, maybe I had a barrier on me for a certain reason.
Yeah, I've said before, that's kind of what it's really easy to get stuck in the middle class, to be honest. And I see why most of the economy is middle class. It's partially because that's how the economy is designed. But I think it's because people get there and then they're comfortable. Because you really do have everything you need, right? You got bills and then, they go into your account and then they get withdrawn automatically. You're not even watching your bank because you're fine, right?
Yeah, you can have coffee every day and
sure. I'm fine. I got a car.
You get takeout 2 or 3 times a week, a date night a couple times a month.
Sure. Got a house, got a couple of cars. We're doing fine, right?
2% 401k contribution.
So it's hard to risk that to get to the next level, and that's why so many people get stuck is being middle class. But you have to risk it because you have to remember that I could always go back. Just remember where you came from, and that's why it's easier to go from poor to middle class and middle class to wealthy. In my opinion.
Is that why you actually think some of these, Alex Morzan, you know who I'm talking about. We've talked about it on a program before, but that guy came from
Hormozy?
Hermosi, thank you. He came from upper class, middle class. Like his father was a doctor and stuff, and well-educated private school, the whole nine. And then he basically told everything to fuck off. Lived in his car, was broke. Like he almost had to hit rock bottom before he skyrocketed. You know.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting too because Tate really. To his story, he said he came from nothing. You know, and then he's been able to be self-made. So what does that say?
It's literally the dream. It's what everybody should be gunning for. And not everybody starts off poor, and that's fine. It's not your fault, right? If you came from like a well-off background, that's fine. I mean, I get it. But I think the people who come from less money who make it appreciate things so much more from people who always had it anyway. You just have a way better appreciation for it.
It almost like I find personally too, like the resentment of remembering poverty. Like you said, that you'll not like you remember like a way to always look forward is just remember where you came from. Like I'm not going back to eating peanut butter sandwiches every day.
Yeah, evil tell you a story, and I like I don't want to make it seem like I grew up like in like the worst household ever. Like I didn't. Like we definitely weren't middle class, but we weren't like I wasn't living on the street at any point in my life. You know what I mean? There was very few nights I can remember. I didn't go to bed hungry every night. You know what I mean? Like it could have been worse for sure. I don't want to make it seem like I grew up like fucking poor, super poor. But you know, I also remember, my mom's car getting towed away when we were in the parking lot, and we weren't well off either. But it's the hot dog story. You know what I mean? The one time we got hot dogs, and he was like, we forgot buns at the store, and she's like, oh, just use bread, and I was like, fuck that, I ain't going back. I'm going back to bread. Work my ass off for hot dog buns.
I'll drive 10 extra minutes and waste $5 worth of gas for
and that's
fucking
exactly
buns.
What I did. I drove to the store. I'm not eating this shit on bread. The fuck does this look like?
What do I look like, a fucking underclassman?
Meanwhile, I'm still eating hot dogs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. It's not like high quality handmade sausage from a local deli or something.
No, it's still hot dogs, but it's on buns now. So we're trending in the right direction.
Do you buy Velveeta instead of Kraft, David, for mac and cheese?
Yeah. Well, listen, Ryan. I'm getting there. I'm gonna be a rich slumlord one day.
Do it.
Ryan, now that the Tate interview is over, and I know you didn't totally finish it, but what do you think's coming for Tate? Because they mentioned in the interview there's a 6-month window, basically, once that investigation starts, where they have to charge him, or they pretty much got to just fucking let it go.
This time.
Yeah, well, that's what he said. He said, well, they could always just come up with a new investigation.
They could be in and out of jail for the next decade.
Do you think? I mean, I feel like it's almost too obvious that you think they're going to try throwing him in jail again, because why would they stop?
Well, I think it's weird because it's like back to the jokes about Bugattis, dude. Sell your cars. Like I know you're on house arrest, but I would just start over
and go where?
I mean, still stay there, just replace everything.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm like go through your whole staff. Like I know he had all these background checks. He talks about it. It's incredible. He's like, nobody has been background checked more than I have.
Mm-hmm.
10,000 people I know.
Maybe Trump has.
Oh, dude. It's crazy you got to get a guy for 3 years to find something. He's that corrupt, huh? Gotcha. Yeah, the Tate thing's interesting. I do think they kill him in the grand scheme of things. And that's why I'm saying he might have to like really go through his bodyguards, or like, do you up your security presence? Or do you
down it? Right? Because if you up it, then you have the chance of outside hires, which...
Well, what the fuck? Does the police, you're on house arrest, so you can't leave? How are you protecting that? An ankle bracelet? Okay, so if there's guards at my house, because I'm like...
Yeah, and how safe do you feel with the guards at your house?
How safe do you feel about police officers?
Oh, yeah, we found him dead.
That's something else he talks about. He gets raided.
Four guards suffocated him in his sleep. Yeah, I don't know. We found him dead.
He wakes up at 4:50 every night. Because they raid you at 5 a.m. And You didn't get the clip, but there's a clip about he talks about him and his brother's mindsets in prison.
Yeah. Yep. He talked about how basically stoic his brother was, which I found hilarious because I could imagine, not to compare myself to the Tates by any means, but I that would absolutely 1000% be me. Just cool, calm, collected. What do you got to worry about?
Yeah, I'm trying to find a way out though. See, that's the thing, David.
See, that's why we're
same cloth, dude.
Good combo.
Yeah, but you know what it was, man? Like it just, I was fucking jealous. God damn it. Like honestly, when you like, I have brothers and stuff, and whatever our relationship is occurred, it isn't that. There might be one person I have that with, maybe. You know what I mean? Like truly that, like I grew up with my whole life kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was jealous. That is the highest degree of masculine relationship. When people say men aren't emotional and men are just like animal, like, you know what I mean? Like you completely forget the love you have for your brother, like your actual brother.
Yeah, and see that's such a misconception that men aren't emotional. It's not that they're not emotional; they just don't show it, or at least they're not supposed to. I don't believe in showing it personally.
I almost wonder if our emotions are simpler, and it's not that like. It'd almost be like how colors are, right? Like when you see red, there's really like 1,000 variants of red, but you only see like 5. I think that's the difference between men and women, really. I think their range of emotion is greater, and that's why they seem crazy to us, because like for them, their anxiety goes to 10, but it's really like a 5 for a man, right? Our highest compared to a woman would be half as intense. I'm simplifying it, and that's why I think there's that extrusion with it. Because me personally, like I'm passionate, David, you know that and stuff. And like, that's not because I'm not emotional. Like the only reason I can have passion is because I have emotion. So like the idea that I'm emotionless, even though I do come off like an asshole, but maybe that's shit you got to work on yourself. Anyways, yeah, I'm real jealous of Tate for his bond with his brother. And I only reference it because it's super important to understand as men, like that duality that he had. Like you said, the stoic, David, but it's literally yin and yang. And the way he just described the dynamic of how like Tristan's like, I don't give a shit, and would go to bed, and he would wake up and he's like wondering, like, man, I got to get out of here. And he's reliving all these things in his head and like all these, he's going with, and that I'd feel like that would be me, right? Like the character story.
Yeah, and I'd be passed out in the cot, dude.
Yeah, I could. How could you sleep? How could you sleep, Dave?
Well, we're going to figure out after I sleep, dude. I'm tired. It is what it is.
Oh, fuck.
I'm not going to not sleep.
It's bullshit anyways. We're going to be here. It's like Tristan already knew they were going to be in there for 6 months,
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was super awesome. But yeah, everybody, I know it's a long interview, but Dave, you did a wonderful job cutting the clips up as always. And Patrick Bet David also interviewed Tristan, and that will be out. That's like an hour and 15 minutes.
I think is it not out yet?
I was subscribed to Patrick Bet David's private community, David, and I got the text early. I actually got the Tate interview a whole 12 hours before anybody else.
Oh, speaking of the Tate interview, he mentions at the beginning, Patrick Bet David mentions at the beginning that there's like 45 minutes or so of the interview that is cut out, and it's not going to be released yet because of the ongoing investigation. But he says once, if it ends up in a situation where he's cleared or everything comes public or whatever, you can sign up to a list or whatever, but that other 45 minutes will come out.
Yeah, and just to round out on Patrick Bet David's part there, David. Unfucking believable. It's unbelievable. Why couldn't CNN do that? Why can't we get this quality? Because this guy is on YouTube, bro. He's a YouTube. He's just a dumb rich guy.
Well, see, you know the answer though, Ryan.
I know the answer, but I want people to like. We have to realize stuff. Like we really got to take accountability and consume only good stuff. I know I do it, and I know we're speaking to a niche party sometimes, but it's unbelievable. This should be the standard. And then once again, I said it too. I forget what I said, but a 5-hour thing, like he doesn't even have to do clips because other people, there's so many people I seen as I'm watching the Tate interview all week. Yeah. As I'm watching the Tate interview all week, I'm seeing clips and reels of him during the interview of things I seen. And it's just like, dude, Patrick Bet David is sending fucking ripples through the media right now. And this dude, protect Patrick Bet David at all costs. Like, seriously. Hope this guy ups his security, watches his kids, watches his bit. Like, seriously. If they would do it to Tate, they would do it to him. And honestly, the network that PBD has is far different than Tate, and now these two have merged on multiple occasions.
Mm-hmm.
Network is your net worth, ain't it, right, Dave?
Yeah.
I don't know. Very interesting.
Of everyone,
very interesting.
Everyone watching, not only us on Rumble, where you should go follow us, but Patrick Bet-David only has like 40,000 subscribers on Rumble. Gotta get that number up. That seems low. He's 1 million on YouTube, I think.
Yeah.
That's low. That's low. Get that up.
Yeah, very interesting. All right, Dave. Well, as always, good job. Thank you, everybody. Catch us Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern for the weekly show. YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, Dave Ryan, 1773. As always, David, thank you for your time. And as well as, I know this is super late, but happy Father's Day, everybody. I hope everybody has well. Your mental health's all good and all that stuff. It's super important we talk about it as we get older, as men. But I'll get to that later in the week. Dave, as always, I'll catch you later. See you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Ryan.
Peace, man.